The endless hype reveals just continue to occur in Kengan Omega. We have Shen Wulong finally defeating Gaimakaku and finishing him off, where he pretty much reveals something that has once again changed the story forever. He reveals that Tokita Ohma is not me, meaning Ohma isn't actually the clone of Shen Wulong like Garouki is. Prior to this, it was believed that these two were both clones of the connector, with Mikaku realizing right before he died that there's more than one connector or more than one Shen Wulong, meaning this connector is the one Garouki is a clone of, and the one Ohma is a clone of is someone completely different. And then in chapter 219, we may have already been revealed to that person. We learned that a private military company has been taking out various worm groups across the world, with this group being known as the Death Dealers, and headed by the CEO with an unknown name. But if you look here, our boy looks like Ohma, and considering he's directly opposing the worm, this is most likely the other connector or the other Shen Wulong, the person Ohma is a clone of. This is, of course, very crazy. So what does this mean for the future of the story? One thing, we could be seeing a war and potentially a future battle between two connectors, two characters most likely much stronger than anyone else in the story, which was very clearly demonstrated by Shen Wulong taking out Gaimakaku, someone who Ohma is pretty much scared of, and someone who may be on the same level as the other top tier worm members, or at least master level according to Shen Wulong in reference to the Tiger Niko's version of like scaling characters, which is pretty interesting to see. Imagine seeing a fight in the future between two Shen Wulongs, that would be pretty wild. There's also one more possibility, that this person is actually a previous version of Shen, so the version where current Shen is actually a clone of as well. That could be a possibility, but considering how he looks here, I think these two are actually clones of the previous Shen, with both of them being cloned of him and then taking their separate paths in the story, and we may get to learn about this character's path, for all we know could be just as strong as that Shen or even stronger, which is pretty wild to think about. And when we speak about strength, we need to consider something else we learnt about Shen's abilities. He can simply not breathe and continue fighting, mastering this technique on screen here, meaning even attacks on this level aren't effective against him, which is probably one of the most wild things we've ever seen in Kengan Omega, and of course it relates to something else Shen can do, with most likely much more wild things to be revealed in the future of the story. Before I continue, as we have quite a few more things to go over, make sure to subscribe for more Kengan content. Road to 100k, it's greatly appreciated. Did you hear that correctly?
Subscribe!
We also once again get a scene of Gilbert bowing down to Shen Wulong as he introduces William, who Shen actually accepts, and we get some information about him and how he's quite unique in his own regard. So expect a future fight of him and someone else major in the Kengan Association, I guess in the future of the story. Also, Yarn being pissed off about Shen getting injured as expected. And this is all the Tiger Niko says about Gaimakaku, which is of course in character and as expected. But the most interesting thing regarding this scene is the whole mention of like master level and all that regarding Gaimakaku in reference to the Tiger Niko, which is interesting as well. But this is Kengan Omega we're talking about, so there's much more to talk about. We have our boy Kiryu Setsuna, who has found the Tiger Niko and the other worm members, and as we know, as he mentioned to Ohma previously, he's going to jump the Tiger Niko and try and kill him, so we could be seeing their fight in the future of the story. Unfortunately, Ohma and the others from the Kengan Association have already left the inside, so my theory about Kiryu fighting the Tiger Niko first, losing or dying or getting severely injured by the end, then having Ohma pull up to finish the job, will most likely not occur, so I'm expecting Kiryu to fight the Tiger Niko and actually die, and I'm hoping we actually get this full fight actually played out to get an idea of how strong the Tiger Niko is, and then pretty much setting up his future fight once again with Ohma, and maybe even Garouki having reason to go after him as well. So hopefully Sandro gives us this fight in the future story, it's going to be absolutely peak. But the Kengan Association boys are back with Yamashita, which may mean we could have the new Annihilation tournament coming very soon. as all this stuff regarding the worm may take a sideline considering the introduction of the death dealers and this whole, huge reveal of the person who Ohma may be a clone of. We may stick on him for a little bit, which would be pretty interesting, and of course maybe setting up an all-out battle between the death dealers and the top level worm members. That would be pretty crazy in the future of the story. But I'm personally very excited for the Kengan Annihilation Tournament to see where the other Kengan characters are currently at and see who's going to win all these crazy matches. Considering the anime is actually coming out in September and we finally got a trailer, the hype for Kengan is at its peak right now. Can't wait for the new season, can't wait for the new tournament most likely coming, and this new reveal regarding potentially the other connector is also very huge. I'm also pretty lucky that this came out when it did, as I was actually preparing a video of my current top 10 strongest in Kengan Mega with the recent death of Gaimakaku taking him out of that list. I had pretty much most of the places worked out, but with the introduction of this new character, of course, he most definitely deserves a spot on there if he's on the same level of Shen, so I'll probably have to delay that video once again, unfortunately. So stay tuned for that in the future, maybe when the Kengan Ashura anime comes out. Also, in regards to the entire fight between Shen and Mukaku, it pretty much ended as expected. It was used to highlight how strong Shen is, which, if you think about it in that regard, it was done beyond well. Shen, no one can even touch him in the story at this point. Mukaku had some pretty interesting tricks. The truth about his flashback, I guess, added more to his character, which was kinda declining ever since we got his full introduction and learned more and more about his personality and everything like that. His complete flashback does add more context for what he did, but of course we didn't get any major payoffs. The only reason he was able to damage Shen at all is because he nerfed himself. Shen truly just be built of insane feats with his one fight in the series so far. So as we get more, especially against someone like another connector, we're going to see true insanity that probably no other character in the story will be able to get to. Probably not even the likes of Ohma and Roki, as they are strong, especially Ohma, one of the strongest characters in the whole series. He shouldn't even be close to the likes of Shen currently, so without a massive time skip or some kinda unheard of training arc, they wouldn't really be able to get to the level unless we cut like 20 years in the future. Then we probably could have someone like Ohma getting to that crazy level. And it does beg the question about all the stuff regarding Ohma and his heart transplant, as Zia G delivering that may not actually relate to Shen and could relate to this other guy, with that being a factor that could come into play later in the story, as Zia G, even though I don't really want to see him in the future of the story, him pretty much having some interaction with this guy is a high possibility, and if Zia G was to return in the future of the story, it may have something to do with him as well, which could be pretty interesting as this whole reveal has changed everything. And it seems like Yarn is the only other character who knows the truth about Shen.
That's it for today's chapter, guys. Subscribe, mad lads, notification on, stay tuned, and go gym. Peace.